Hello everyone and welcome to my, admittedly late, video on the Clan Generator Challenge and the one I got, PrimroseClan. I'll be using text-to-speech to talk about the story and some design notes, starting with our leader. Ginger Star's description is that he is a short-haired, red-spotted tabby tom with amber eyes. With PrimroseClan being the ardent and inexperienced, I decided that he was likely to have a bit of an ego, regularly jumping into things headfirst without considering the consequences. One of the more challenging parts of making this video was drawing the patterns. I decided I wanted a degree of realism regarding their pelts. Ginger Star certainly took a lot of time, as I wanted to make sure I got all his stripes correct, not to mention I went back to add a few details. Next up is our deputy, Spiderbriar. She is described as a black she-cat with short fur and amber eyes. There are a total of 9 PrimroseClan cats with some degree of black patterning, so I decided to make the majority of them related. Spiderbriar is the grumpy ant. Next is our medicine cat, Heatherstream. She was the most difficult to draw, as she is a hairless cat. Her description is very long too, describing her as a black and red, mackerel tortoiseshell tabby she-cat with copper eyes. Heatherstream has a lot of practice in her field, and is the cat most go-to for advice, always having something wise to say. Although there are cats who have been around longer, and those in higher positions of power, Heatherstream is widely regarded as the most responsible cat in PrimroseClan. Speaking on her design, I tried to add some heather-like markings to one of her legs, and drew some marigold flowers around her. Next up is Shadowheart, our first warrior. She is described as a black-ticked tabby she-cat with short fur and green eyes. She is Spiderbriar's sister and littermate, and a mother of 3 apprentices. It took me a minute, but figuring out how to give her the ticked pattern wasn't too hard in the end. Shadowheart is a kind and well-meaning cat, although she is very busy and not the smartest sometimes. I lost some footage here, but I mostly just started on Brindleheart, a black and red, mackerel tortoiseshell tabby she-cat with long fur and amber eyes. She is my favorite design of the bunch. Brindleheart is Ravenpaw's mentor, and as they both tend to be strict and grumpy, they get along very well. Brindleheart has 2 siblings listed later. Next up is Hornet Ear, our last warrior, a hairless, cream mackerel pseudo-tabby she-cat with amber eyes. After Heatherstream, she was a lot easier to do than she could have been. She mentors Rookpaw, and all the thorny bushes the apprentice gets into are a bit of a problem. Moving on to the apprentices, we start with Yellowpaw, a long-haired, blue and cream, spotted tortoiseshell she-cat with amber eyes. She is mentored by Shadowheart, and her mother is Bleakstorm. Yellowpaw is very responsible and always tries to find the time to help out with something, even if it's just dealing with Blackhair's ticks. Yellowpaw was fun to draw, but her cream patches are scratchier and less clear than I would have liked. Next up is Ravenpaw, mentioned earlier as Brindleheart's apprentice. She's a grumpy kitty with an edgy hair swoop and one of Shadowheart's 3 kits, along with Rookpaw and Starlingpaw. She is described as a black she-cat with short fur and hazel eyes. Next is Clumsy Rookpaw, described as a long-haired, black-ticked tabby she-cat with copper eyes. Rookpaw is the sibling who takes most after their mother, ditziness and all. Ravenpaw often likes to tease her siblings, specifically Starlingpaw. Rookpaw always stands up for herself and her brother, despite being a terrible fighter, especially compared to Ravenpaw's polished skill. Rookpaw was a very fun design, but it didn't come to mind to work in the bird she's named after, in personality or fur. Before we draw the 3rd sibling, we have to draw my second favorite PrimroseClan kitty, Muntjackpaw. He is described as a chocolate tom with short fur and hazel eyes. Muntjackpaw's personality is pretty simple, as he is generally just a happy-go-lucky little guy who loves cheering cats up. His design probably stands as my second favorite, due to the markings I gave him resembling those of the deer he's named after. And at last, we reach Starlingpaw, our protagonist and my favorite kitty. He is described as a black tom with long fur and gold eyes. Starlingpaw is a nervous little guy, and probably resembles his namesake the most after Muntjac. His anxiety hasn't been helped by the apparitions he's been seeing by the woods lately. Moving on to the queens, we have Bleakstorm and her younger kits, Wheatkit and Copperkit. She is also Yellowpaw's mother, although her mate Brightsand died soon before her newest kits were born. In the drawing, I started with Copperkit and Wheatkit, little guys to the highest degree. At this point, they're about 2 moons old. Our next queen is a permanent one, Cypress Stripe. She is described as a red mackerel tabby she-cat with short fur and hazel eyes. She is the mother of Brindleheart, Skipperear, and Muntjac. This is admittedly the point where I stopped really pulling up references. Speaking of Skipperear, here she is. She recently found out she would be having kits, and although she intended to keep doing her duties mentoring Starling Paw as normal, her mother was extremely eager to have her in the nursery with her. And last but not least, the lifeblood of the clan, Blackear. Mother of Shadowheart and Spiderbriar, Blackear, described as a black she-cat with curly fur and green eyes, insists she's just as spry as ever, and spends her time racing around camp and telling scary stories to the kits and apprentices. And that's all of PrimroseClan. I have a lot in store for these kitties, but as with most of my projects, it may come very slowly. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you have feedback on the voice, let me know. See you next time.